In the recently past year, 2025, the world was very busy. Trump came back along with his loyal MAGA and the tariffs implemented globally. Europe was tired. Britain, France, and Germany tried their best to win over the American people, but issues like migration, right-wing politics, and the economy shattered the image of the once prosperous continent. If the situation of developed countries is like this, then the situation of underdeveloped countries is even worse. In unseen corners, within just 1 year of 2025, the revolution of the Gen Z choosing presidents in Discord groups under the flag of One Piece has engulfed dozens of countries, and wars in regions like Sudan and Congo on the African continent are long and bloody, but their end is not in sight. Climate issues and population explosion are creating even bigger problems in dozens of countries. In these areas, America and the West are retreating, while these are so-called middle power countries like Xinjiang, Guizhou, Guayma, Jabi and Rwanda, the United Arab Emirates and Turkey. Trying to play a new role in the region, some are for peace, while some have caused a big stir. So what is happening to this world? In which historical phase are we living? What will the international landscape of 2026 be like? Free Trilog Mahima Anchor will take us to the year-end review of 2025's Music Talk in the postmodern new era. In 55 BCE, the Roman philosopher and playwright Lucius Annaeus Seneca first presented the concept of Roman peace. He believed that after Augustus defeated Mark Antony in 27 BCE, Rome entered a fundamentally stable and peaceful era. After presenting this concept, it gradually expanded. In terms of time, the period of Roman peace lasted from 27 BCE to 180 CE, when the last of the 5 good emperors, Aurelius, passed away. The term Roman peace was studied and quoted repeatedly by later generations, leading to similar concepts like English peace, Chinese peace, and the rise of American peace after the Second World War, which refers to the stability experienced by the Western world under American leadership after the Second World War. Stability and prosperity, especially peace among major countries. This system, it continued for several decades and reached a peak after the dissolution of the Soviet Union. America's vast economy and powerful military force made the world bow down. Many believed that American peace could last for a long time. America, like Rome, would illuminate the Western world for hundreds of years. But only 35 years after the dissolution of the Soviet Union, in the year 2026, everything changed. Everyone was already certain about the collapse of the system. Everyone was talking about the end of American peace, including people within the system, high-ranking American officials, and European Union leaders. Immediately after the 2024 presidential election ended, former American NATO Ambassador Dahl published a lengthy article titled "The End of American Peace." More than 2 months later, one of America's most influential political magazines, Foreign Affairs, also clearly stated that American peace has now disappeared. Following this, the Chancellor of NATO ally Germany, Merz, publicly announced that American peace no longer exists for Europe and Germany. Trump's Secretary of State, Rubio, clearly stated in a hearing that the post-war order has become outdated, and it is not only outdated but is becoming a weapon to attack America. Why is this happening? The decline of America's national power and military power is the first reason. Over the past several decades, America's GDP has consistently remained in the first position globally. According to data, the closest competitor, Japan, had a GDP of $5.5 trillion in 1995, which was 70% of America's, but it did not progress beyond that. From a manufacturing perspective, Japan's manufacturing scale was very close at that time, but still slightly less than the United States. However, in 2025, there was a subtle change in the situation. The GDP total of the Eastern superpower also exceeded 70% of the United States. But the difference was that the manufacturing GDP became 1.7 times that of the United States, becoming the main driver of the global economy. This was the first time for America. Military decline. America still has the most powerful military in the world, but its size has significantly decreased compared to its peak period. During most of the Cold War, the size of the American military was 1.6 times its current size, and during the Vietnam War, it was twice its current size. Even up to then Trump came. He introduced a new strategy based on America, which then spread in the Western Hemisphere. Trump also found that as long as an Eastern country is ignored, America can act at will. Therefore, he viewed North and South America, including Greenland, as America's sphere of influence and operated in places beyond the reach of other major countries. This is the diplomatic trend of the United States in the 25th and 26th years, and the years following that. They claim that Canada has taken over the Panama Canal. Just a few days ago, they took Maduro. In the future, they will target Cuba and Greenland and all American countries. However, America's problems are not only external but also within diplomacy, as well as related to the economy and public life. Jansha Cheng is not unfamiliar to me. A long time ago, when I used to play World of Warcraft, there was a boss with a Jansha Zidon, which would trigger at about 20% health level. Some high damage skills could be used, and then the boss would be defeated in a short time. In 2014, when Hearthstone was launched and became very popular, the concept of Jansha Cheng officially took shape. In this turn-based game, when the opponent's vitality falls below a certain level, the player can defeat them in one go. In this process, the opponent has no chance for a counteraction. They can only helplessly watch as they move towards defeat. At that time, the player never even dreamed that the term Jansha Cheng would be used. 10 years later, in the next life, we'll undertake a two-way journey with America, and,
By the end of 2025, it will become an internet trend used to describe the real experiences of some people in America.
When there is a loss of money or homes and vehicles are lost due to an accident, many people get trapped in the cycle of irreversible death and life drags them along. In reality, just one boundary line cannot completely shatter America's image. What is disheartening is that the social problems behind this boundary line in America are so complex that there is no solution. The most superficial problem is the high cost of living in America. Go a little deeper and it's the American borrowing culture in the form of student loans, home loans, etc. and the omnipresent American bill culture and the highly criticized expensive medical care. Go deeper and it's drugs, law and order, weapons, social security, the government losing control at the grassroots level and the adverse impact of automobile culture. And none of these problems are unresolved. That to solve any one of them, the government will have to make reforms and progress. But American politics can no longer achieve all this. Party conflict has taken the place of party unity and diversity, and this is prevalent in American politics. No matter who comes to power, they cannot implement deep reforms. Economic problems, issues of inflation. Like a shadow, every presidential election attacks the predecessor's economic policies. Then when he if the new president fails even a little, other political forces in the country immediately become active and raise the issue of inflation and illegality. If you look closely, you will find that in American public opinion or in the narrative of the Democratic Party, everything done by Trump is considered illegal. Raiding Maduro was illegal, withdrawing from the climate agreement was illegal, the attack on Capitol Hill was illegal. The deployment of the military and National Guard in blue states was also illegal. It can be said that in the eyes of this half of America, the president has made more mistakes than Sun Hao-chuan. Trump has been demonized. Whatever the president does is wrong in the eyes of the other half. The main topic of American news is the daily debate between the president's supporter group and the opposition group. Then every 4 years, there is a polar change. The new president cancels all the reforms of the previous president and starts implementing new policies beneficial to themselves, weakening the vast national power in internal conflict. No strategy can be implemented for long. With Trump's return in 2025, America's internal division reached a new level, as it was different from any previous president. The main task of Trump's presidency was only one: not the economy, not the military, not strategy, but self-defense. How to ensure that after the 4-year term, neither he nor his family is held accountable or blamed. This was the most important task of the American government. How to accomplish this big task? Trump initiated a cleanup campaign, and at the beginning of his term, he appointed Musk to form teams from various organizations for the government to carry out layoffs. The nominal reason was to save money, but several cleanup campaigns were also conducted in between. At the end of last year, Trump suddenly recalled many diplomatic officials appointed during Biden's time. In total, ambassadors from 29 countries were recalled, and the number of countries lacking a US ambassador reached 80. In the intelligence security sector, Trump dismissed thousands of FBI employees. 1/3 of the employees of the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency were removed. A total of 4,100 people were laid off in various departments of the main part of the federal government, and up to 300,000 federally appointed employees across America were dismissed. Certainly, many of these were limited officials who were only focused on making money, but among them were many experienced and situation-aware key employees as well. Does Trump's harsh action in this way really not have any impact on America? According to various information, the impact of Trump's cleanup is increasing, not only on people but also the language of propaganda banners inside America. Government introduction documents and instruction signs need to be changed according to Trump. Lectures about the climate crisis and fossil fuel pollution in parks have all been removed, and discussions in museums about America's negative history, such as slavery and Native American genocide, have also been removed. In the official narrative,
Happened. Now,
Immigration and Customs Enforcement, it sounds like a small and less violent department. But in reality, the expansion of ICE has exceeded our imagination. Speaking of staff, they have more than 21,000 people who aim to arrest 3,000 people every day. And Trump is continuously pulling people to increase ICE's strength. And then the scariest thing is that their funding is almost $10 billion every year, which is equivalent to the military expenditure of a country like Pakistan or Indonesia. Overall, the Trump administration has invested more than $170 billion on the border and immigration. It's such a large amount of investment just for immigration and the border. Many people believe that ICE is no longer a normal department. It is Trump's own assault team, a private army that follows his orders. So you will see that Trump supports ICE at every opportunity. And then in another part of America, ICE becomes the main target of attack. Absolutely wicked criminals. The Democratic Party's propaganda machine is running at full force. While on the other hand, the White House officially says that this is a vile attack incited by mentally unstable, radical left Democrats on heroes, and an American version reference is also added to it.
From Minnesota's Governor Harris's vice presidential candidate Tim Walz to California,